Welcome to Snap, Tackle, and Talk, where statistically we're better than the Packers' fourth quarter defense, but significantly worse than Bo Nix's completion percentage.
Kick it off, break it down, they're calling the play. Go to Ron debates, keep the night from the day. Some rise, some fall, on the charts they walk. But we'll keep tuning in to Snap, Tackle, and Talk.
All right, welcome to Snap, Tackle, and Talk, a football podcast that is better than some, worse than others. I'm Dwight Couch. With me, as always, the Flockmaster himself, Mr. John Reed, and Captain Houday, Colin Arter. Gentlemen, how's y'all's week?
It's good. I was sick. I was sick for almost all of it up through last week, but I'm feeling better now. Besides a little cough, I got going still. And it was good, Dwight. Thank you for asking.
You were welcome.
I had COVID all last week, which I mentioned on the podcast last time. But Saturday, once I was feeling better, we had a basketball game, and we won. I was like, you kids make me proud. It was awesome. Finally got that W we've been looking for. Baseball didn't go quite as well, but still proud of the kids. But other than that, pretty good week. Back to work, not sick anymore, so that's always a plus. Dwight?
Very much a plus. No, it's been a fantastic week as always. You know, a lot of good family time. You know, I did watch all the football, but it's significantly less football than it has been for the last several weeks. So that's nice. Thought about breaking the grill out, and then it got cold again. You know, we got up to like 70 degrees for a week, and then the moment I decided to fire up the Blackstone, it's bitterly cold again. So had to do all that inside, but we made a big feast eating on it this week. Some banana pudding.
There you go.
Fantastic. So, yeah, no, it's been a great week. Ready for some football. I'm disappointed. I didn't have a game to really watch. I had a lot of rooting interest across all four games. However, nothing too involved in, because ultimately I don't think it really matters who we play. But what did y'all think of the week overall?
I thought it was a lot of
Actually,
football. I was
John.
I was very disappointed by the nightcap. Watching teams, they went back and forth, going for it on fourth down, I think 4 times to start the game. I got to be honest, I turned the game off. It was very poor. And it seemed like neither coach, and it's a shame because one of them, spoiler, is going to win Coach of the Year. It was a shame. It was very poor play calling. I could not believe you're in a playoff game, you're not taking the points. It was, and what's crazy is that it still ended up being a one-drive game. And so if you would have taken the points, any of the 3 opportunities, and then when they did finally take the points, it was after going third on fourth down twice in a row. And then you're 4th and 4 on like your 12 and you kick the field goal. If you already went for it twice, just do it a third time. It was very weird. Not a good ending game. But the Panthers put up a great fight. The Jags played a great game. I did not like the comments from the Jags reporter to Liam Cohen about how, you guys, you've had such a good season. You should be so happy. That would be really embarrassing to me if I was Liam Cohen. But other than that, there were a lot of good football games going.
Yeah, I enjoyed them. They were surprisingly competitive. Like, I thought the Rams were going to smoke the Panthers, but that ended up being a good game. I actually, at the end of it, found myself rooting for the Panthers. You know, when you have a team come in that you think's going to get smoked and they're, like, hanging in there, taking the lead, you're like, let's go, like, that would have been interesting to see the Panthers win, because I think a lot of people have the Rams going far in this. But, yeah, the only game that was kind of disappointing was the Chargers-Patriots, which I should have known. I mean, me and Colin, we all said it on here last week, Chargers choke in the playoffs. That's just what they do. Shouldn't have been surprised, but I thought they would at least been a little more competitive than 3 points.
Yeah. Now, in all fairness to the Chargers, it's a very, very banged up Chargers, and they just got worse. The longer that game went on, because honestly, out of all the teams in the AFC, the Chargers were the ones that I didn't want matched up with. I was like, that's kind of worst case scenario out of all the teams. But as the game went on and you've seen how hurt Herbert was and then how just diminished their offensive line already was and then got more in the game, man, that would have been a juicy round, second round matchup because Herbert looked bad at the end of the game. I mean, he's definitely in the doctor's office today, or at least laid up on the couch with a ton of ibuprofen.
I think it's funny how Bills fans get so worked up. Like, they are all about them some Josh Allen, man. Like, they let us hear it that we didn't pick the Bills to win that game. And it's funny because it's rolled over. So now videos that have nothing to do with the Bills game whatsoever, we're getting Josh Allen memes popped up on there. And it's just like,
that's right. There's going to be a lot more Josh Allen memes coming up. So,
were you going to say something, Colin, before I rudely interrupted you?
Don't remember what I was going to say now.
I ruined it. Great.
Sorry.
Now, any glaring takeaways we need? Did anybody prove anything to you all last week moving forward for the playoffs?
Josh Allen. Josh Allen proved that you could probably replace all his receivers and tight ends with high school receivers and tight ends. And as long as he has James Cook in the offensive line, he's probably still going to go out and win the football game. I mean, we said there was only one path of victory, and that's if Josh Allen put on his cape, and he put on his cape enough to beat the Jaguars. I'm actually disappointed in the Jaguars defense. I think that was a poor performance by them, considering how they've played this season. And I mean, it wasn't terrible, but man, you're looking at the weapons Josh Allen has. You're stopping James Cook, but they just keep moving the ball down the field on you. And it's just like, I didn't expect the Bills to move the ball that consistently.
I'm going to go, 2-4 here for you, Dwight. Showing me on the wrong side of things, Aaron Rodgers. I assume that was the last game he'll play in the NFL.
Sure the hell looked like in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He was.
It almost was like watching Ben Roethlisberger out there, his last game. I think they went to the playoffs last year, and it was that wild card game, and it was just like, oh my Lord, man, I guess this guy, it was bad.
Was it against the Browns? Was that the year the Browns beat him in the playoffs?
I think it was. But show me on the right side of things was Caleb Williams, threw for 361 yards against the Packers and needed every single one of those yards. And I know everyone's saying, oh, it's a throw you make in the NFL. And that was one of the best throws I've ever seen on fourth down to win the game.
Yes.
That taking into context, the throw, I think that's what we talked about. He's got to make the throws. He's got to make those big time throws. And sure enough, man, you can just count on Caleb Williams to do it. And he made his mistakes in the game. He really did. Made his mistakes in the game. And I mean, he threw 50%, 2 picks. But when he needed to turn it on in the fourth quarter, his team gave him a chance, and by God, he delivered.
Yeah, and that's the crazy thing. I was talking to Chad, like, Caleb Williams had the worst completion percentage of the whole wild card weekend. And yet he can still make the throws when it counts. And he still had, 3 touchdown throws? Like, I mean, he's just clutch. And that's what you need.
A lot of that, too, is because Jordan Love had just as bad of a game from the quarterback position. I wonder if Malik Willis, when he is healthy, if he stays with the Packers. I doubt he will, but I wonder if the Packers look at Malik Willis as an option. They're both playing with the same guys on the field. I'll be honest, Malik Willis looks a lot better in the time he was on the field.
Mm-hmm. More consistent. That's the big thing with Jordan Love is consistency. He's got talent. I'm not going to lie. It's just he's inconsistent.
Yeah. Jay Cutler had talent.
Yeah.
Couldn't win. So, biggest news coming out today was Mike Tomlin stepping down as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, leaving the Bengals as the only AFC North team that will have the same coach next year. How shocked were you guys that Tomlin is gone from the Steelers even making the playoffs this year?
I'm not shocked because Steelers fans have been asking for it for a really long time. Mind you, Tomlin stepped down. So what that means is that Tomlin was the one. And the reason I know Tomlin was the one is because why would you give a team the opportunity to recoup draft picks for firing you?
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm referencing is Mike Tomlin, Dwight, has the ability to be traded now like a player from team to team. And that happened recently. I can't remember who that was with. But
Sean Payton, I think.
Sean Payton, yeah, they traded a coach. That's a very important tidbit of information. I think that was Mike Tomlin saying, man, screw it. I'm tired of the I think that's what it was.
Is he going to take more of a Sean Payton path, though? You think Tomlin's going to take a year or so off, do some TV, things like that, and then come back and play that card?
I've got no idea what his plan is.
I think he might take some time off, period. I don't know that we'll see him. And I think he would be great in the announcer booth. I don't know that we're going to see it. You know, if you read his statement, it sounded more like he just needs a break. You know, maybe he seems like the kind of guy that would disconnect for a couple years completely.
Did you guys hear the Steve Bisciotti interview, the Ravens owner?
Yes.
They informed him about Tomlin stepping down during the interview, and his face lit up. He was like, wouldn't that be crazy? He's like, especially if John goes to the Steelers, we'll take Tomlin.
He said that's what he said. He ended and said, yeah, I'll do it if John goes to the Steelers.
Yeah. You know, it's funny though, Huday's little caption down there. The one coach in the AFC North still has a job is probably honestly the one who deserved to lose it the most.
And yet here we are, John.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
You have 2 Lombardi winners and 1 Coach of the Year winner go out, and the one that has none of that is the one that is now currently still remaining.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So let's talk about this week coming up, and then after we're all wrapped up there, we'll get into who we think is going to be our MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, and all that good stuff at the end of the show. So let's get started. Unfortunately, the first game we're going to talk about, because I would like this to at least been the second game, you know, on Saturday night. I would have preferred it to be the last game of the weekend. But the Bills going into Mile High to face Denver, and I will let either one of you all kick off.
So what do you all have as a spread? Because I've been flipping through different apps, and they're both 1.5, but I've seen them both ways. Man, like, okay, the Broncos defense is better overall than the Jaguars defense. I honestly thought the Jaguars defense would slow down Allen, that offense, more than they did. I'm thinking the Broncos defense will be able to do that. The only thing I worry about is the Broncos offense isn't quite as strong as the Jaguars offense is. So it becomes a situational type of thing. If the Broncos offense can find some success against a Bills defense who through most of the year has played fairly poorly, but they didn't play half bad last week, can move the ball on the Bills, then you definitely want to lean Denver. But you keep going back to January Josh Allen. It's just like, this is going to be a close game, and it's probably going to be back and forth. What am I talking about? It's Denver. Of course it's going to be a close game. They could be playing a high school team. It'd be a close game. I'm going to go with the home team, and pretty much strictly for that reason. I'm hoping the crowd makes a big enough difference, and I'm going to go with the Broncos in this game.
Yeah, you said January Josh Allen. I guess I'm the only team in here that's not scared of January Josh Allen. It's funny, though, John. I agree with all your points. Denver does have a better defense on paper, I think, than the Jags do, despite the Jags having a very good defense, by the way. But you're right, Denver's offense is not as good. This is one of those things where I wonder if the week off helps or hurts.
No.
Luckily, the Bills won because I think the Broncos probably were readying for the Bills. If the Jags won, I think they'd be in a world of hurt this week because this team had to have been game planning over the wild card week.
The Jags wouldn't have played the Broncos if they won, though. The Texans would have.
Sorry. Yeah, my bad. And I just think that looking team to team, as you mentioned, the Broncos are just a little bit weaker on offense, or really a lot of it weaker on offense than the Jags are this year. It all goes down exactly the same thing we said last week, John. Is Josh Allen going to be able to put the team on his back and carry him to victory? And that goes down to the Broncos front, not the Broncos secondary.
Mm-hmm.
It's such a toss-up. This is honestly the only good game this week, I think. I think the way that the matchups shook out on the other side, I guess you could say New England and the Houston will be a good game, though I don't know if what I saw from New England was exceedingly promising against the Chargers. But I'm going to go give me Denver as well, just because they're at home. It really is down to Josh Allen. If Josh Allen has another great game, the Bills are going to win this game. But it really is. This will be probably the best game to watch of the week.
All right. I agree with every single point you guys made, especially the fact that this is probably the best game. This should have been a night game. It's been 10 years since Mile High has had a playoff game. And I would think that stadium would be damn near impossible to hear if everybody was a little bit drunker with the evening drinking versus the middle of the day drinking. Though I think they'll do just fine. The home field, I think, is the biggest advantage for the Broncos. Teams coming off a short week or a disrupted week going into high altitude, like Mile High, have a winning percentage of 0.28%. Granted, it was only, we're talking hours difference of what they would have normally played. But still, going into Mile High with that kind of altitude will make a difference for everyone on the team, with the exception of Josh Allen, who is from Wyoming, who is used to that kind of air. So I think Josh Allen is going to be just fine come the fourth quarter, which if the Bills win, it's going to be off of James Cook, not so much Josh Allen. However, Josh Allen in the fourth quarter has been averaging 8.4 on his carries. And that's scary because what I don't need him to do is outmanage us with the clock. Buffalo Bills are the number one clock management team in the NFL. The Broncos are 7th. What we do really well on offense is, killing you by 1,000 cuts. We're going to march down the field. We're going to have a pretty perfect drive as far as turnovers and things like that go. But we have to pick up the drops. This is a game we can't. We lead the league with 43 drops this year.
Mm-hmm.
We could get away with it from any other team in the league. This is the one matchup that we cannot. Cortland Sutton cannot drop the ball. Evan Ingram cannot drop the ball. Each of them are sitting on 8 for the year. Our running backs are our biggest offenders for dropping the ball. The offense has not been anything wrong with anything Bo Nix has been doing. It's been wrong with what the weapons aren't doing, and that's simply catching the ball. A lot of Cortland's came in touchdown scenarios. These were end zones where he's dropping the ball, which made it really prevalent this year. That can't happen against Buffalo. We have to stop the run. If we keep James Cook in under 110 yards, we can win the game. If he goes out there and gets 120, 150 yards, that's probably we're going to lose because we're going to allow Josh Allen to be fourth quarter Josh Allen. We can't. The Buffalo starts notorious slow this year. If we can get out there and rack up a 10-point lead in the first quarter and have Buffalo coming from behind a little bit, we just can't let them get the early lead. If they start out and they're 14-0 on us at halftime, that's going to be a tougher hill for us to come back from with them controlling the clock so well. That being said, I think the Mile High City is where the magic happens. I think the crowd is going to make the difference. They didn't invest the $35,000 into the stadium to make it more, they redid the PAs. They did everything where the sound stays in the bowl and echoes more. They did all that for a reason. And I'm very thankful that the Broncos have owners that are willing to spend all that cash to make things like that happen, because that could be the difference of us going to the Super Bowl, is how loud Mile High is going to be. But I'm definitely 100% taking the Broncos. I think it will be a fantastic game. And yeah, there we go. Oh, by the way, Riley Moss has to play really well this game, because he is going to be the one that they target. And Marvin Mims is going to be my feast of the week. Loves to hang out in the middle. And that's the weak spot on the Bills defense, is right in the middle of the field. So I see a lot of short passes to Mims where he picks up a lot of yards.
Mm-hmm.
I did not do feast and famines this week, having 4 games on my radar.
All right. So the nightcap is the San Francisco 49ers going to Seattle. And I picked the Niners last week and they won. I don't know that I can pick them against Seattle. As much as I don't like Sam Darnold, I think they win this game. Seattle's, I think, got a much better defense. I love the name for the defense, the Dark Side. So I'm in on Seattle for this game.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Seattle, honestly, out of every team in the playoffs, I think is the most balanced team left, offensively and defensively talented. The Rams are close, but I definitely have to roll with Seattle. This is my lock of the week, and my famine of the week is going to be the 49ers defense. I mean, it was a low-scoring game last time these teams played, but I just don't see a repeat of that. I think Seattle moves the ball well against this depleted 49ers defense, unless we get playoff curse Sam Darnold, which has been floating around out there. I guess we'll see what happens. But from what I've seen so far through the season, the Seahawks are just head and toe the better team here. Funny, I think it's hilarious that there's 4 teams remaining in the NFC, and all of them except for one is out of the same division.
Yeah. The 49ers really did not impress me last week. The Eagles impressed me less so, and that's why they're sitting in Cancun right now. But the 49ers did not have a good game. Christian McCaffrey was their offense most of the season on the receiving side. He didn't have a great game last week. He's probably going to win Comeback Player of the Year just because there's not a lot of opportunity elsewhere. And that's a great story. It's kind of – I thought they wanted to get away from guys winning it back to, winning it again and again just for injury, but that's what's going to happen. But Brock Purdy's not been great this year. Seattle's had such a good defense all year long. The Niners struggled to push the ball against the Eagles, who, while they've had a good defense, have not been the same team they've been in the past. So I just can't see the Niners moving the ball. My feast would be the Seahawks defense. Also, my lock would be the Seahawks. I just don't believe the Darnold. I mean, you've seen Darnold progress a lot over the last 2 years. And while you've seen some slippage this year of play, overall has been way more consistent in the past and way more consistent in the back end last year. All he needs to do is play an average game against the Niners to beat them. And the Niners really didn't impress me last week. So I think it's the Seahawks easy pick here.
All right. Next, we got the LA Rams heading into Chicago to face Caleb Williams, the roast master, by the way. Did you all see what he said to Lil Wayne? Lil Wayne commented.
I saw Lil Wayne's tweet.
Yeah, it said something about him painting his nails, and Caleb Williams was asked about that, and he said, "Oh yeah, isn't that the same guy that raps about something about licking a lollipop?" So not worried what he says at all. No, Caleb Williams doing a fantastic job in Chicago. I would like to see Chicago go a lot further. I enjoy watching them play. I do know that. I do know Caleb Williams 100% has ice in his veins because he does not seem to get rattled. He grated that cheese fantastic after their victory. Anybody that can shred the Packers like that, I'm all for, because not a big Pack fan. I want Chicago to go on. That's why I'm picking Chicago. I want Chicago to go on to the Super Bowl so we can have a 3-0 Denver to Chicago at the halftime, and then wind up with 48-47 at the end of the game. I think it would give you two great halves there. But no, give me Chicago over the Rams. It's going to be cold. The Rams are probably the better team, but Matt Stafford's getting older, and his elbow does do a little bit worse when the cold weather hits. So give me Caleb Williams and Chicago this year.
I can't overthink this. Caleb Williams had a very poor game last week despite the fourth quarter. And again, that's keeping the team in the game. I don't think they're able to stay kept up with the Rams long enough to stay in the game to make it mount that fourth quarter comeback. I can't imagine this going Chicago's way. As much as it's a feel-good story, I just can't imagine. I have to go with the Rams here.
So the Rams past few weeks have not looked as dominant as the Rams initially looked through most of the season. The Bears, they just have that thing where they just find a way to win. But I just feel like their luck's going to run out. You play Green Bay, and it's a team with a decimated defense, so you're able to make that comeback. If the Rams get that kind of lead on you, you ain't coming back. I don't care what kind of heroics Caleb Williams pulls out. The only way I see Chicago winning this game if they intercept Stafford a lot, which, Stafford didn't have his best game last week. Obviously they were favored by 10.5 against the Panthers or something like that, 8.5, I don't know, but a lot. And they almost lost that game. But I just got to go with playoff experience here. Stafford's going to do enough. Puka's a monster. Devontae Adams is so smart and talented. They've got a decent running game, and they've got a very solid defense. I just do not foresee the Bears being able to overcome this. I would love to see the Bears go further. I'm with you, Dwight. But I don't see it happening in this game.
All right, and the last game we have on the docket is the Houston Texans going into Foxborough to play the New England Patriots. I'll let whoever wants to start there.
So I will start. Patriots fans probably going to hate me. But listen, the Patriots are a young team. They've gotten through a round of the playoffs, and they're getting a lot of experience. The Patriots, after this year's experience, adding some more pieces to the roster, they've got a good quarterback. They've got a good coach. Their running game looks great. Once you add some pieces and you get some more experience, this team is going to be a team to reckon with going forward. I just don't think they are mature enough of a team to go any deeper than this in the playoffs. Drake May's game last week wasn't anything super special. They played a Chargers team that is riddled with injury and with a quarterback who loves to choke in the playoffs anyways. Speaking of, Greg Roman got fired, offensive coordinator for the Chargers. But they're about to face a defense that is out of this world. The way that defense harassed Aaron Rodgers and that Steelers offense last week, which, don't get me wrong, Patriots offense is probably better than the Steelers offense, but Drake May hasn't faced a monster like this. Not at this time of the year when everything's on the line in the playoffs. I think they're going to be in for a rude awakening, and I think things are going to get away from the Patriots in this game. Now, there is some dependency on Houston's offense, which is not super special, but you've seen once they get going, they can put up points. Unfortunately for the Patriots, I don't think their offense is going to be able to move the ball efficiently enough to win this game. This is my upset of the week, and my feast is the Houston defense.
All right, very good. Yes, for those who have not figured out, Brick World is up in Chicago. The Bears, Aaron Rodgers owns nothing now. Yes, he does. He owns a very large hospital bill to take care of his right side.
Brickworld's been with us before. I remember Brickworld.
Yes. Colin?
Yeah. Shoot, man. I really like the Patriots. We've gone over that. I like Drake May. I like what they're doing. It's a great young team. John, I think you put it best. I mean, to be honest, the Houston defense is not even playing the same sport that I watched the Bengals play all year. It is a totally different brand level of football. They struggled to move the ball against the Chargers defense. They're going to struggle even more so. Now, with that said, Houston, up until the fourth quarter, also struggled to move the ball against the Steelers. Houston just got to score like 19 points. I don't see. There was some abysmal play calling by Mike Vrabel. You're going to continue to see that this week. I really think Mike Vrabel is a great leader of men and a great defensive mind. But man, someone should be. I don't know who actually. This could be totally out my ass. Like it could be somebody else who's calling the plays in New England. I'm assuming it's Mike Vrabel because what I watch. I turned off the game. I was like, I'll figure out the score later. Like it was gross football to be watching in January.
You don't think it's McDaniel calling the plays?
Is that who is calling the plays? I mean, just because he's not scored, be calling the plays. That's why. Because Zach Taylor calls the plays in Cincinnati, But
I mean, he's also been around since. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's went on his own ventures, but he's been around since Belichick, coaching Tom Brady.
He's also an extremely competent and a very good offensive coordinator.
Yeah,
he is a horrible head coach. Extremely good offensive coordinator.
All that to say, I don't think that the Patriots are going to pull this one out against Houston. Defenses win championships. Very rarely do you see a team go out and score 40 points and win a Super Bowl that way. Houston has an elite defense. Houston has just enough offense, I think. I'd be shocked if the Patriots come around and win this one, but I want them to. I mean, I like the Patriots story. I like the team. We were talking about early in the year as them being a few years away still. It's a great story. I want the Patriots to go far. I don't think they can overcome this Houston defense.
Dwight, before you go, I want to go back to the Steelers game real quick just to bring this up. It's kind of funny. So CJ Stroud fumbled the ball, right, on his own 21-yard line, and TJ Watt recovered. So the Steelers got the ball at the Houston 21-yard line, 1 yard out of the red zone. They ran 14 plays and got like 4 yards. That is insane. Like 14 plays and got 4 yards.
It was a I like the Texans. I don't really like the Patriots. Ideally, I would like to see Bo Nix and Drake May. I want to see the start of this rivalry. And it would be really cool if the start of it was in the AFC Championship game. And that could be kind of the kickoff for that. However, I don't think that's going to happen because I'm going to take the Texans. I agree with you, Colin. Defense wins championships. I think the Texans are going to handle New England as long as their offense can put up 20, 21 points. Maybe their defense puts up 14 and they still manage to eke out a win. I still can't decide if the Texans defense looks so good Monday because they're so good, or if it looks so good Monday because Pittsburgh was just so bad. That's really why I wanted Pittsburgh to be the one we played this one. I mean, I thought, and we'll get onto the seeding here in a second, but Pittsburgh was the ideal candidate for us the next round because that's what we would have looked like against Aaron Rodgers as long as it takes him to get rid of the ball nowadays. So I'm curious how good the defense actually played versus how bad the opponent could have been, but I'm still thinking
they played good. You know, I just see this path being the most fun. Can you imagine a Denver-Houston AFC Championship? It's like first team to 3 wins.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and then imagine a little farther. The winner of that game goes on and plays the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I mean, just back-to-back super awesome defensive games. I mean, it's going to be boring to people who like flashy, 60-yard touchdown passes and stuff like that. But I don't know. I like the grind, the grit of a good defensive game.
I'll tell you, that was Herm Edwards caught some flack because he mentioned that during the game the other night, and he was talking about, it was a beautiful game, and everyone else like, oh my God, it was so slow and boring. He's like, but that's what football is. I agree. I would rather have a good defensive back.
It's great parity too, because the last few years, like, it's turned into an offensive league. You know what I mean? Like, you want to have the flashy players, the Bengals offense, the AFC Championship be two teams with offenses and super good defenses, That would be cool.
So they need to fix the seating. The seating in that
for years.
Having the fact that the Steelers in particular were a 4 seed was kind of absurd.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, they weren't the best team when they played to get into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't the best team that night, and they sure as hell did not deserve a home game. And you got somebody like Buffalo or, Buffalo or the Texans. Both of them deserved a home game.
Yeah.
It's just, and then it really, Denver got the wrong end of the deal for the next round, because here we got to play Buffalo instead of, it should be the other way around. We should be getting the Texans, and Buffalo should probably be there playing New England.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Not that the Texans are any worse than Buffalo, but if you listen to the pundits, Buffalo's the best damn team left in the AFC. So,
well, I mean, what do you want me to do? Do an AP poll of teams that make it, the top 8 seeds on each side, or the top 8 teams, and have them say, hey, or top 7 teams on each side, and say, hey, now coaches do a ranking poll.
Or you can just go back to record in general.
No, because what you're saying,
if they had a losing record,
they deserve to be a playoff team. But you can't fix that based on the record.
No, they can still be a playoff team.
But they should have been a 7 seed. Under what metric should they have been a 7 seed?
Because they had a losing record, and the other teams had like 11 and 12 wins.
Well, they didn't have a losing record, but
close enough.
They were 10 and 7. That's my point, is that they were 10 and 7. And so how do you justify? They should have been the lowest by record. Yes, they should have been the lowest in the AFC by record. But I get what you're saying. But
what if you just got into the playoffs by winning your conference and you weren't guaranteed seeding that way? If you won the AFC North Final, you get in the tournament, but that's it. You don't get any special favors. And then you just let the best teams get the best record. Hell, maybe one year none of the division winners are the top 4 seeds. Maybe they're the bottom 4. They're still in. There you go, Roger. There's some good advice for you.
I just saw a tweet pop up on my phone I was looking down at. Apparently Jamar Chase was on a stream yesterday with some dude that looks like a peanut that plays video games. And he asked him, he didn't know he was playing with Jamar Chase. And he's like, are you on a team? He goes, yeah, the Bengals. And he says, are they a good team? He says, no, we weren't so good this year. So, but yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of Joe Burrow and Vikings jerseys here recently. That would be interesting to go with Jeddah. Colin's like, no, it wouldn't. That would be terrible.
I'm just going to completely ignore
but
it.
At least you all get to keep Zach Taylor, though.
Silver lining. Always a silver lining. So let's go ahead and talk about the players of the year here. Where do y'all want to start? Do y'all want to start with the coaches?
Let's start with the less prestigious awards, then work our way up to like
coach of the year.
So the coaches, no. Colin, you mentioned comeback player of the year, and you feel or felt at least a few moments ago that it was McCaffrey's to lose because of the injury. Who do you all think comeback player of the year will go to?
Well, like you said, I think it's McCaffrey. I looked at the odds book. It is very overwhelmingly McCaffrey. It's like minus 1,100. There's just nobody else that made a big comeback this year. That's very impressive. I honestly don't think comeback player of the year should be an award moving forward. Like they refuse to give it to guys that deserve it. Last year should have been Joe Burrow again. They didn't give it to him because he won it the year before. Mm-hmm. Either you make it an injury award or you don't. And if they say it's not, which is what they said last year when they awarded it elsewhere, was that it's not an injury award. But then you give it to a guy who, by all means, hasn't had an incredible year and is getting it because he came back from injury and had a decent year. It's crazy, but it will be Christian McCaffrey. Honestly, only defensive rookie of the year is up for grabs, and coach of the year. But player-wise, defensive rookie of the year is the only one I actually had some questions on of who will be getting it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to be McCaffrey, but honestly, I would give it to, maybe fatigue for me a little bit, McCaffrey, but I would give it to T-Law, man. Like, he was 6th in passing yards. He was 5th in touchdowns. You know what I mean? His interceptions weren't that great, but he was top half the league in QBR. You know, I mean, there's a night and day difference. Like that's a big part of it for me is how the player looked compared to the last time you seen him. Like the way Lawrence played last time we saw him, completely different player. He's a big reason why the Jags have had so much success this season. And that accounts for a lot for me. I would give it to Lawrence, but that's just me.
All right. If you're going to give it for what the name is and you're going to give it comeback player of the year, there's only one person that deserves this award. That's Phillip fucking Rivers. He's the only person that deserves the comeback player of the year. When you're that old, you get off your couch and you go get your health insurance for all your kids. Yeah. So Phillip Rivers is the comeback player of the year.
But when you come back, you actually have to do something, though. That's the only thing.
Hey, sometimes just putting the jersey on's enough, John.
It didn't even fit as well. I could see that dad gut sticking out a little bit now.
All right. All right. So, assistant coach of the year.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me. I think Vance Joseph's the way it has to go. He's just such a good assistant coach. If you look on that side of the ball, I actually had a better pick. I'm excited to talk about coach of the year, so I've got a kind of a dark horse. But assistant coach, I think Vance Joseph's definitely the way to go.
Now, when you say assistant coach, do you mean official assistant coach, or can it be like a coordinator?
It can be. It can be coordinators as well. It can be. It's just non-head coach.
Yeah, I actually went with Joe Brady. I think, first of all, James Cook, the leading rusher in the league this year. That's impressive. But to be as successful in the passing game as they were with almost nobody to pass the – don't get me wrong. These guys aren't scrubs, but, like, the names they have on their team, they wouldn't be number 2s on most teams. You know what I mean? Aside from the tight ends. The tight ends are all right. But these receivers, like – Josh Allen has had little to nothing to work with. And a lot of that, I get it, is on Josh Allen. But, Joe Brady schemed very well. And he's put the Bills in the best position for them to succeed. I give him a lot of respect.
All right. I've as well, Vance Joseph. Obviously, I'm going to homer out a little bit because he's a Bronco. Don't really want to give it to him because I don't want to see him go. But he sure will. He will be a head coach next year. But yeah, I think Vance Joseph, maybe a runner-up would be Kubiak, up in Seattle would be a pretty decent pick. But yeah, give me Vance Joseph for this all day long. Colin, you said some of the other ones were easy. So offensive rookie of the year.
I think the only player that really qualifies for this based on the stats I was looking at was Tedero McMillan. Had over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Really impressive rookie season. Other guys, Tyler Shuck. But I wasn't super impressed with all the games Tyler Shuck put up. There's also limited awards the NFL gets a chance to award anymore. It's not to a wide receiver or not to a quarterback. So if they get the opportunity, I think they will. And I think this is an opportunity for them to say, hey, guys, look, you're still playing for something. This should be Tedero McMillan's award.
Yeah, I completely agree. I had McMillan as well. I mean, he was top half of the league in receiving yards as a rookie. That's impressive. Top half of the league in touchdowns. I mean, give the guys props. That's hard to do for a rookie. Like you said, Chuck's a good option. Dart is a good option, but as far as rookies go, I wasn't impressed as much with any rookie as I was McMillan. He was a major part of the Panthers' success this season.
All right. I'm going to go with Jackson Dart. So,
J Dart.
Yep. Let's see. Colin, where you want to go next?
I'd like to do Coach of the Year, Dwight.
Coach of the Year for 2000.
It'll probably be Mike Vrabel.
Mm-hmm.
Stats are all over, or rather, the books are all over Mike Vrabel. But I think it should be Dave Canales with the Panthers. What a year the Panthers put together, having a not very good roster on paper and really giving it to the Rams for 4 quarters of football. I don't like feel-good stories in regards to losing. I just said that with the Jags and like how they shouldn't feel happy they lost. But at the end of the day, the Panthers were not a good team on paper this year, and they got every single ounce of every single one of their rookies. Bryce Young played manageable football in the quarterback position, which is more than I thought he was going to do this year. They got contributing snaps from guys that look like draft busts 5 years ago. And that all has to relate to coaching. So I don't know how he's not in the conversation. I know it'll probably go to Vrabel, but I'm going with the head coach for the Panthers.
Yeah, I'm with you to probably go to Vrabel. I don't honestly think it should go to Vrabel, though. Don't get me wrong. He's definitely a candidate. He's a great coach. He should be a candidate for this. Same with like Ben Johnson and, people like that. But honestly, I have to go with Mike McDaniel. Like that defense, the way it is playing, that defense, it rivals the Texans. I would like to see that game again. Now after, everybody's kind of hit their groove. That defense is 100% Mike McDaniel. And to get a new quarterback, somebody especially as untrusted as Darnold with the falling apart last season, they're the most balanced team. On paper, they're the best team right now in the NFL. And Mike McDaniel's done this, or Mike McDonald's done this in 2 years. 2 years. First time coaching, head coach. I think that's impressive. Not one of us thought the Seattle Seahawks were going to be looking like the best team in the league during the playoffs. Not one of us.
That is very true. I think it's going to be Mike Vrabel. I think it should be Liam Cohen. I think if you replayed the Jacksonville and the Bills game 10 times, Jacksonville might win 7 of them. I think they're literally were the better team. I think they might have been the best team in the AFC. Kind of sucks they got bounced early. I think he's done the most impressive job. I think Sean Payton should be a little more in the conversation than what people give him credit for, because he really got a team to buy in a lot. And
Homer.
I think what'll be really known out of this season is when you get to look back at it, the decisions that he made were this team was very managed behind the scenes by Sean Payton as far as scheduling and all that goes. And I think it's a masterful job Sean Payton's done in Denver. But Liam Cohen, I think, did the best job out of any coach, especially the way his started out. Because there probably wasn't a coach. He said Duvall, and he immediately was on the hot seat. And he didn't even get to look at anything in Jacksonville. So that's where I would go for Coach of the Year.
I know I mentioned him, but I'm going to mention him again because I don't feel like he's gotten enough love all season. Like he's not really, I'm sure he's on people's lists, but he's not one of the front runners for it. But Ben Johnson, we can't ignore how great of a job he did. He came in and took the Bears and made them a playoff team who's still in the playoffs right now. You know, like, hats off to Ben Johnson. He is deserving of the award as well.
Yeah. Yeah, plenty of coaches out there, and we're all kinds of coaches next year. Maybe a little over 25% of the NFL is looking for a new head coach at the moment. So it'll be very interesting to talk about this next year. Oh, who do you got for defensive player of the year?
Player,
yes.
I've got Myles Garrett. There's a lot of good defensive players, but only one has broke the all-time NFL sack record, no matter what Michael Strahan says. You know, he's tied 7th for forced fumbles. I mean, Myles Garrett's a beast, man. I don't see how you don't give it to him. When somebody does something like break the all-time sack record, I just think it's a foregone conclusion, and the man deserves it.
I also went with Myles Garrett. Same thought as John. I just don't see how you give it to anybody else this year.
This is the Browns Super Bowl because Myles Garrett's going to get Defensive Player of the Year. That's the way it should be. So at least the Browns fans have a little something to be thankful for, and quite possibly a stellar coaching staff, if some of the rumors are to be believed. Let's talk about Defensive Rookie of the Year, Colin. This is the only one you were in question about.
I actually was in question because I'm not sure there's a clear front runner, which is a shame because one guy had 150 combined tackles, which is great, but you expect a linebacker to lead a team in tackles, especially on bad defenses. But James Pierce Jr. had 10.5 sacks as a rookie, and he's not even the front runner right now from the odds books from what I saw, but I have to give it to him. And all these other picks I may have been trying to coincide with odds books and maybe take a shot at, well, I think maybe we should go to somebody else. This is the only one that I can't believe he's not talked about more. Usually edge is a mature position in the NFL. Guys play it for a long time. Cam Hayward's 38. It takes years and years to learn technique to beat offensive linemen in the NFL. Guys don't usually come off the edge rookie year and produce the way James Pierce has at 10.5 sacks. I have to give it to him.
You know, that's impressive. I definitely looked at sacks when I was going through this. But then I got caught up thinking, you know, like, I mean, sacks are impressive, but at the same time, depending on who you got on your team and where the focus is, if you're decent and the focus is going somewhere else, unless you're like Myles Garrett or TJ Watt or somebody who's like busting through 2-3 people trying to stop you getting these sacks, ridiculous numbers, it's hard for me to focus on that. I went with the odds-on favorite. Maybe I'm biased. We played the Browns twice, but Carson Swessinger, so many tackles. When we played him twice, that's all you hear. I mean, not all you hear. You hear a lot of players' names, but you hear his name come up a lot. And that's impressive for a rookie. When every time there's a play or a good tackle, you hear his name brought up. The kid impressed me, especially for a rookie year. Even got him a couple of INTs. You know, yeah, that's my defensive rookie of the year. I'm getting hoarse, Bulls.
Very good. I will take I'm sure I'm going to butcher his first name. John, your boy, Starks, 25th overall pick. Cuts out the middle of the field, kind of a dark horse for the award, but he cuts out the middle of the field. I'm a big fan of anyone who can take a whole section of the field and keep anybody from throwing there. So give me a
funny story. Funny story on Starks. He's actually extremely intelligent. Like, they do like a test for safeties and stuff when they come in, and he like blew it out of the water. Like, they said he tested like he was a veteran. So super smart player. That's why I like him.
All right, let's move on to Offensive Player of the Year. I thought, oddly enough, I didn't really have to think about this one too much. Give me JSN. He's put up a fantastic year. I think he's very deserving of it.
I had the same choice. I was thinking about Drake May for a little while, and maybe if you have MVP selection, I know you like the underdog, the dark horse Dwight, but that's why I was thinking about him. But JSN has had such an incredible year, really has driven this Seahawks offense this season. I think it'd be hard not to go with him. So I went the same spot.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a foregone conclusion, just like Myles Garrett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Fourth in receiving yards, or receptions, I mean. First in receiving yards, tied sixth for touchdowns, and 10th for average. I mean, the guy was a beast this year. I didn't see it coming, to be honest. I mean, I knew he was a good receiver, but he really destroyed it this season. I mean, put respect on his name. He's a great receiver. I was really hoping he would eclipse that 2,000-yard mark, but unfortunately, didn't happen for him. But he's still my offensive player of the year.
All right, and the last thing we got is who is the NFL's MVP?
I think I kind of spoiled that, but I have to go Matt Stafford. There's just not been a lot of great quarterback play this year, and the MVP is a quarterback award. And Matt Stafford unequivocally has had the best quarterback season. So I assume he's MVP. They're, not putting up 5,000 yards, not putting up 50 touchdowns, anything like that. But besides one game, really hasn't turned the ball over, still has put up decent passing numbers. And compared to the rest of the flock this season, Matt Stafford definitely stood far and above beyond.
I wanted to go with Matthew Stafford, and it was disappointing. The last few games of the season didn't look as pretty for me. I think it would have been poetic because this could possibly be his last season. I've got to give it to Drake May. And like Colin said, this hasn't been a crazy quarterback season. Like, you look at Drake May, and when you look at MVPs of the past, he hasn't put up a season like you've seen some of these quarterbacks recently put up, just where they went off and they had these crazy games and memorable moments. But, I mean, the guy's still first in QBR, third in touchdowns, and fourth in passing yards. I mean, and like Colin said, it's QB award. I mean, I've got to give it to Drake May.
All right. I went back and forth between the two, but ultimately Stafford has done the more impressive. I mean, what Drake May's done is very impressive, but we don't necessarily know that, you can't throw anyone else into that situation and they look just as good. I don't think you throw anyone else in Matt Stafford's situation and make them look like Matt Stafford. So I think Matt Stafford should hands down win it. With if he will or not, who knows? But and to throw off the one thing you did mention, it was a less than stellar quarterback year. If the Colts would have continued on their trajectory, maybe a quarterback wouldn't have gotten it. Maybe we'd be talking about Jonathan Taylor as the MVP. Too bad. Unfortunately, they fell off into a flaming dumpster.
So surprising. Like, they were having, I mean, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have thought Daniel Jones going down would have ruined their season. Granted, his last couple games weren't super impressive either, but it really fell off after that.
Yeah, I hate to say this, but Daniel Jones going down might have been one of the best things to happen to Daniel Jones. As far as his outlook on contract negotiations next season.
Maybe the Colts should go for Malik Willis. Maybe they can run it back.
Where do you all think Harbaugh is going to land? I mean, obviously that's still the biggest name out there.
I think he's going to the Giants, to be honest.
I have no clue, man. I mean, I have no idea. I've not stayed nearly as in touch as necessary on the coach. That's kind of an after season thought for me. I've not really looked at all. I would want to say something sounds stupid. I've not really looked at all into it.
So there was one thing that I think the Giants probably have the best job to just jump into immediately. I think you got good pieces, but Cleveland And Harbaugh is evidently very interested in Cleveland. However, here's what I find interesting. Cleveland also wants Mike McDaniels.
Mhm.
They're also keeping, was it Josh Brown, Joe Brown, the defensive coordinator. They're keeping him. That could be, I mean, that could literally be a coaching dream team if you had those three together on one team. And it would be very ironic it being Cleveland of all places. But I've seen that today, and I don't know if it's a pipe dream for Browns fans or not, but damn, that's a good coaching staff.
Don't get me wrong. I want Mike McDaniel on the Ravens, but not as a head coach. I don't think he's a good head coach because I don't think he commands the locker room like a Mike Vrabel or a Mike Tomlin or, these hard-nosed coaches. He's not going to go in there. When you're winning, it's one thing. But when you're not winning, that kind of mentality loses respect like that. I think he would be dangerous with Lamar Jackson, but not as a head coach. I would want him as an offensive coordinator, and I'd want a Kubiak or a Flores as my head coach versus McDaniels. I don't know. I just don't. If the Browns get him as a head coach, chalk it up to another mistake the Browns have made. So
What up, Mr. McAfee? McAfee or McAfee, one of the two.
McAfee.
So I tell you what else I fell in love with this season in the NFL is the Manning cast. Because now I have ESPN because I bundled it on with my Disney. So I get, ESPN with it as well. And Manning cast is fantastic. Also watched, I did watch Indiana and Oregon play the other night, but I watched Pat McAfee where him and his group are down on the sidelines. That's much more entertaining than anything else.
Pat McAfee's hilarious. I like Pat McAfee.
Mike, I'll issue Jens a warning. The grass is not always greener. And when you're going 10-7, 9-8 every year, and you think, man, I can't wait to go 12-5, 13-4, it's just as likely to go 4-13, 5-12.
It's true. It's scary.
So,
Trust me,
the
I
grass
feel
is
that.
not always greener. Jens might find out here shortly.
I feel that pain. Like, I'm just waiting for them to announce that they've hired Anthony Weaver as their head coach. And I'm like, because we interviewed him. He was the actual official assistant coach before we sent him to Miami or wherever. And don't get me wrong, I just want something new. I want to try something fresh. I don't want to recycle the same old. If we recycled anything, I would have wanted it to be Mike McDonald, and we should have done that 2 years ago. That didn't happen. Now look, Seattle might be going to the Super Bowl. So let's do something fresh, Ravens. Let's not recycle the same old people we've had in the building already.
So here's interesting, John. If you all were to hire Vance Joseph, who number one would be a great coach for the Ravens.
I wouldn't mind Vance Joseph.
There is a good shot that Davis Webb becomes the offensive coordinator wherever Vance Joseph goes. And that is currently our quarterback's coach, but he is looked at to have one of the best offensive minds of any of the young coaching staffs around the NFL.
That would be interesting.
So that's who we've kind of assumed was going to be Sean's successor when he's done was going to have Davis Webb ready to go with the program. So
I'd take it.
You all also interviewed him as the head coaching spot, but I think that was probably more of an offensive coordinator interview disguised as a head coaching interview.
Yeah, I don't even know. We've interviewed a whole lot of people so far. Pretty much everyone who's available and some that's not officially. But I don't even know. I'm afraid they're gonna make a mistake. I mean, even Kubiak has been with the Ravens at some point. Oh, put it in your mouth, showing some love.
Yay. Make sure you go like, subscribe.
Oh gosh.
Put it in your mouth. We'll go ahead and get that out of the way.
No, Mike. No.
Oh, Stefanski going to the Ravens.
I don't want him. I mean, he's not the worst option out of all the people we've interviewed, but definitely not the best either.
You know who you need? You need Cognetti from Indiana. Somebody in the NFL needs to hire that man. He wins. That's what he does, baby. He just wins.
Next year, and tell me I need to
Google him.
hire Mark Stoops.
Marcus Freeman from Notre Dame. A lot of good coaches on the market out there. But, gentlemen, I think that about wraps us up for the week. So make sure you tune in next Tuesday night, right around 9 o'clock-ish, give or take. We will be back talking about the divisional matchups and see who's going to the AFC and NFC championship. And make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us on all social medias at Snap Tackle Talk. Visit us online on our website at snaptackletalk.com, where you can
stay football hungry
and get some.
Finally found something that led into it really good.
He worked on that all week.
Season long. I worked on that all season. There were some really bad ones for a while.